Howdy, friends and floor heads. Welcome to Saturday, Blades in the Dark. And we were talking, it's been almost a year since we have played. So a year ago, we're like, hey, let's take a little bit of a break. We definitely did that. Super excited to have everybody back and to be playing one of, if not my favorite role-playing game by John Harper. Actually, incidentally, speaking of John Harper, just released today on the podcast, my interview with John Harper and Sean Nittner, who Sean was also a contributor on Blades in the Dark. But I've been really struggling with how to start this off, and I think I've decided that this season 2, even though it's episode 7, really I'm going to treat it as kind of just a brand new game in a lot of ways. So let's start off talking about the setting. I want to welcome everybody to the cold, foggy industrial city of Duskvol. It's a world like ours during the second industrial revolution of the 1870s. There's trains, steamboats, printing presses, simple electrical technology, carriages, and the black smog of chimney smoke everywhere. Duskvol is a mashup of Venice, London, and Prague. It's crowded with row houses, twisting streets, and crisscrossed with many little waterways and bridges. The world is in perpetual darkness and haunted by ghosts, a result of the cataclysm that shattered the sun and broke the gates of death 1,000 years ago. Crackling lightning towers encircle the empire cities to keep out the vengeful spirits and twisted horrors of the Deathlands. To power these massive barriers, the titanic metal ships of the Leviathan hunters are sent out from Duskvol to extract electroplasmic blood from giant demonic terrors upon the ink-dark void sea. Essentially, this crew lives in a haunted Victorian-era city trapped inside a wall of lightning-powered towers fueled by demon blood. So let's start fading in from black. And we start inside what looks at first to be a dilapidated library. There's lights flickering from different small light sources, creating all kinds of shadows against the walls. But we can tell we're underground because we can smell the dirt and the canal water. We look to the walls and the shelves and we see they're packed and stacked with books and papers and scrolls. There's 3 people in this lair. And the first one I want to focus on is Eustacia. So, Joe, where is she?
So Eustacia, or Reagan Devereaux, is currently, she has liberated some sort of quite nice, if poorly upholstered chair, like very high back. She is at present perched on it, incapable of sitting in chairs properly, much like me, and has a kind of like a large kind of blood red leather book that she is like idly flicking through, and occasionally she'll pull like a piece of chalk from behind her ear and like scratch out sigils on a recovered chalkboard.
And we swing around and we see Overwatch. And what is Overwatch doing?
Elias is he's just sitting by himself in the corner, not socializing with anybody. He's playing with a knife, with a kind of a smug face, just doing his thing, steering clear from everybody else.
Then the camera swings around to Talus, and what is Talus doing?
Talus is in the corner playing with something in his hands. When you zoom in, You see it's some kind of a puzzle box that he just fiddles with. He solved it many times already, but he just enjoys the time playing with the puzzle box. Then you hear a ding a little bit, and he looks to the side, and the ding was that the coffee is ready. And it's not any coffee, of course, because it's Tellus. And you can see that initially his coffee brewing skills were high, but he has like this simple tools to make them, and now there are all these tools and gizmos, and he just can rely the hard work of making a good brew on that coffee machine, and just everybody waits for that ding to get a hot coffee to get things started.
And as we look around the room, there's somebody missing. And we smash cut to Lamplighter walking in the streets of Duskvol, headed back to the lair. Can we describe Lamplighter?
Yeah, Galen, or Lamplighter when he's working, kind of a broad guy, former military, thinner-ish face, keeps his hat pulled low and his collar pulled high as he's walking through the misty, damp night or day, whatever time it happens to be. But
It's complicated when there's no sun.
exactly, right? Occasionally pulling at his pocket watch to remind himself what time it is, because it all kind of goes together. But he's doing his best to, other than kind of a broad-shouldered dude, look as just anybody in a crowd is his whole deal.
So we cut back into the interior of the lair, the library. And all three of our characters are kind of doing their own thing. So even though they're together, they're not. And just as the silence becomes a little unbearable, I'm imagining Talos breaks it.
So I'm thinking, Elias, what's happening today? You seem a little bit off. You seem a little bit more distressed than usual. Everything going on there well, buddy?
No, Cornelius. It's been a hell of a month. He stabs his knife right into the side of his chair and the handle. I haven't told anybody, but my father's been murdered.
Well,
He's
your father, he was murdered?
yeah. I have a few leads, but this is unacceptable, and whoever did it's going to pay. It's going to absolutely pay.
They will definitely pay. Like, I mean, where are these leads taking you? Like, we need to get on top of this soon, I believe.
Yeah, well, when I know more, I'll share. But for now, I just my mind's a wreck. Just leave me be for now. But I appreciate it.
Okay, I'll bring you a good batch of coffee to call the nurse. I know what will help.
So Elias is sitting there pondering, doing his thing, and looks up at Reagan. Just observing. Elias is very interested in doing what she does with the ghost veil, and just kind of pays probably a little too close of attention to where it might be uncomfortable for Reagan. I'm not sure, but maybe I see something that Reagan's doing, and ask her about that, whether it's reading a book or something along those lines.
Yeah, so like this would, with the group that we have, despite how like obvious all of this stuff is, I feel like this is literally the first time anyone has asked Reagan what the spooky stuff she's working on. So she, like, in a fluid motion, kind of claps the book closed, places it on a desk, and stands up at the chalkboard. So, when I was doing the research for into demonology for the Dimmer Sisters, I came across this. She gestures at like a sketch of a tree where the branches are curling into an almost crown shape. And I did not have any basis for this once I saw it initially, but this is one of the first dreams that I can remember, is this tree. And I believe pulls out a mask that looks wooden, but has no evidence of being carved. There are kind of black spots around the irises. The wood itself is white and there are horns curling up. And this is what I took from the tree. And it came with me into surreal, I suppose. I don't know. But I found a basis for this. Still trying to translate names. So that's a thing.
Wow.
Oh, speaking of spookiness in general, Cornelius, I have been meaning to ask you a question. Ever since you decided to shirk Nirix's offer to speak more regularly, they have become very petty. And I've been following you to all of the fancy places that you find yourself going to. I would just ask that perhaps in the future, to perhaps mend this bridge with all of the newfound money you keep piling into the place, is perhaps take them out, invite them at least.
To me, like, come on, it's much more fun to get all these things to, I'm improving the place where we are living. It's practical. We are interacting with each other. Why would I even bother talking to them? I tried all the approaches that there are, and he points even to the ghost sword, the jar with a chain that could potentially catch a ghost. That was an idea that we did, and now it's there just next to the books, and I don't care about it anymore. It's not worth my time. It's not worth it. There are plenty more enjoyable things to invest my time into.
You two really are extremely similar, and it is disconcerting.
And as Reagan finishes that sentence, we hear the footsteps coming down the stairs outside of the hidden lair, and the door opens, and we see a wet or at least damp lamplighter step in.
So Galen comes in, closes the door behind him, takes off his damp overcoat and everything. And we've all been laying low enough since last season, basically doing little jobs here and there to, keep the lights on, keep everybody fed. And Galen's been doing a bit of his own information brokering, enough to get his name out to the right people without being connected to the Umbral means specifically. He's been doing everything in his power to keep that name out of everyone's ears, mouths, and mind, to the point where he's hoping it's at a point that we are an urban legend. We are that story that other gangs tell their newbies to mess with them. And that's all well and good, but you all have seen him kind of... He's that big cat in the cage at the zoo that's walking back and forth. It's like, this is fine. I'm getting fed every day, but he's waiting for more. And today there's a little extra pep in the way he shrugs his coat off of his shoulders. And when he looks around the room at all of you, there's that little twinkle, that little bit of something in his eyes, and he goes, "Friends, I have our next job. I know how we can get the undocumented canal and tunnel plans that the billhooks use, and I think I know exactly how we can pick them up. without it being us that does it.
So I think the reaction from all of you is like, oh, and maybe if any of you didn't miss this, just hearing Lamplighter say that out loud makes you realize maybe you did. And as if no time has passed, we slowly watch the four of you convene on the center table, the table where you drink your coffee, where you eat your meals, but more importantly, that you clear off when it's time to plan the next score. So let's take a step back and let's do a little bit of bookkeeping so we can get this score going. For those of you not familiar with Blades in the Dark, it's in many ways very free form, tons of RP, very rules light. And in other ways, it's very procedural. But what's nice is the procedural pieces are tight and they reinforce the setting as well as the tone of the game. And they also short circuit a lot of the things that you often will see in a heist game. And you're going to see that in play right now. So the first thing is dealing with the planning and the engagement of the score. So what is the job going to be? And you start off by deciding what the target is. So what is our target or our goal for this score?
It is the secret passages of the billhooks.
So to get our hands on these plans, right, these documents that show all of these undocumented canals, old tunnels, and everything that run like spider webs all throughout Duskvol, you guys have figured out and suspected that the billhooks also have this information, and that has allowed them to stay more than 1 or 2 steps ahead of you. The billhooks have been a problem. They are not fans of you guys being in Coleridge and have not been fans of that for a long time. And though they've yet to catch up with you, you can start to smell them a little bit. So next we need to decide on an approach. So there are 6 potential approaches to this score. We can do it via assault, which is to do violence to a target. Deception, lure, trick, or manipulate. Stealth, we can trespass unseen. Occult, engage a supernatural power. Social, negotiate, bargain, or persuade. Or transport, carry cargo or people through danger. Now, obviously, we've already talked about this. So which approach did we decide on?
I believe we settled on deception.
All right. So we know the target. Now we know the approach. It's deception. The last thing I need is the detail. And the detail for deception is the method of deception. So what is the method of deception?
We're going to fake being billhooks so that we can get their actual maps of their used and understood tunnels and make sure that certain ones of those are known only to us now, and that other ones are known to somebody that the billhooks don't want to, like the bluecoats or etc., so that they have someone else to blame and be riding their coattails and then looking over their shoulders for that third party.
So now this is when it starts getting cool, right? So we've given everybody at the table, including the GM, now knows what the target is. We know what the approach is, and we have a detail about that approach. One last thing I need to ask is for each of you to choose a loadout. You have 3 different tiers of loadout. One is essentially a light loadout, which means you're not going to carry much, and it's very easy for you to hide that you're coming to wherever you're going with ill intent. Then there's a standard loadout, which gives you more items available to you during the score, but doesn't make you nearly as hard to spot. And then there's heavy loadout, which is essentially I've got backpacks, I've got a cart, and anybody who sees me walking down the streets of Duskvol knows that I'm up to no good. So just real quick, starting with Joe, Reagan's loadout.
Yeah, since we're kind of portraying ourselves as billhooks, the kind of idea is like they do walk around with stuff. Like if there's actually a job that they're doing, they'll have things. I'm not going to the level of carrying luggage around, but I'm going to be taking a normal loadout.
Okay, Lamplighter.
Same thing for exactly the same reason. Joe, in fact, pulled that out of my brain using spooky ghost powers.
Talus.
Yeah, nothing more to add. Just those two bastards took it right from my mouth.
All right. And Nick.
Well, I can't be different. Absolutely the same thing. And, but no, for sure. Normal loadout's good for O.
And you'll see this in play, but what's kind of neat is there's a bit of a Schrodinger's box with what they're bringing with them, right? So we know the amount of stuff that they have, but we don't know exactly what it is yet. And when I say we, I mean even the people, the players don't know. Now, Talus knows exactly what he's packed, right? Lamplighter knows exactly what he's packed. Eustacia knows exactly what she has on her, but the players don't yet, and you'll see why in just a moment. All right. So in your normal heist game that's not Blades in the Dark or a Forged in the Dark game, now we would spend 3-4 hours planning this job. We're going to skip all that. We're going to make an assumption in the game, and makes the assumption that the 4 of these people are good at what they do, that they have come up with an amazing plan, and we're going to find out what that plan is as we play the heist. Before we cut to it, we do need to get a sense, though, of how things are going to get started. So it's a thing called the engagement roll. So the engagement roll is essentially we're going to roll a die. So this is a D6 system. 1 to 3 is failure. 4 to 5 is success with complications. 6 is a success, or is it good? And we're going to have to figure out how many dice we're going to roll for this engagement roll. So let's work through it together. First question is this... You start off with 1 die just because you're going on a score. So we have 1 die. Next question is this operation particularly bold or daring? Thoughts?
I feel like we had more daring things we did in past that were above our heads. This seems like something just to, get the blood flowing, to get back into work. I would say no.
Yeah, for once we're not in over our heads and diving in head first. Hopefully.
True.
You may not be happy to hear this. I'm giving you the die.
Yeah.
Oh, goody.
Because I think it's both bold and daring. And here's
Yeah,
why.
because it's
A-
the bill hooks, and we've been antagonizing them for
Exactly.
let's say several months.
And your shadows, right? So if we were breaking in after hours to try to get these plans, I would agree with you. But you're not. You're going in looking and trying to be something else, which I'm not saying is outside of your wheelhouse, but it's not your expertise. So you're going to get a die for that. So it's going to be 2 dice that you have. Now, is this operation overly complex or contingent on many factors? That would take away a die. I think it's pretty straightforward, right? You're going to go in and grab the plans. That's exactly how it's going to go. So, which is good.
Mhm. Yeah.
Does the plan's details expose a vulnerability of the target or hit them where they are weakest? Now, the target in this case is going to be the Ministry of Records. This is definitely not where they're weakest, so I'm not going to give us a die there. Is the target strongest against this approach, or do they have particular defenses or special preparations? They do not. This is not a military installation. It's, this is a place where a whole bunch of people do a whole bunch of bookkeeping and records and things like that. So we're still at 2 dice. Can any of your friends or contacts provide aid or insight for this operation? So for each one of these players, they have contacts that are part of their sheets. I want all of you to look at your contacts and see if there's any of your friendly contacts that you think could potentially help in this planning.
Just a newbie question. Where are the contacts in Foundry?
Yeah, I'm not seeing them.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
I've got mine written up in my notes.
Yeah.
Anyhow, my contact, I lost my contact when I lost my faith.
Oh, that's right.
Anyhow.
So we definitely know that you don't have one, Talus.
Yeah.
Ding, time's passed. Well, we'll look at it a little bit more. And
I know,
then, are there any
'cause-
enemies or rivals interfering in this operation? I do. We are rivaled with the billhooks. So I'm going to take a die away. We're down to 1 die. Last but not least, is there any other elements that you may want to consider? So here's where I would like us potentially to do a little bit of investigation, some pre kind of recon or whatever. So is there anybody that wants to potentially do things that would help the score?
Now that I've found my contacts in my notes, my shrewd friend Celia Evensteps is another much more established information broker. And one way that you would get to be that way is to have some kind of in on things like these public works style of information to go. So, not necessarily we know exactly where these are stored and where they should be, but we through her might know someone who can get us in without too many people looking over what we're doing, or we'll be able to get the usual manner of what to do when you come in down so that we don't look out of place.
So I'm imagining Lamplighter gets whiff of where this information is, that the Billhooks in fact have access to these plans and have been using these plans, and you're thinking of going to your report. She's a reporter, right? Or is
Yeah,
this
she's a
reporter?
reporter, and also if I'm remembering correctly, owns at least partially like a nightclub where, you know, underhanded deeds happen and actual news is recorded.
So you, hey, Master. So you say, you know what? If anybody's going to be able to help me, it's her. So looking at your sheet, I'm going to ask for a roll, and I want to know what action you're going to use to try to get her to help you.
Given that in our downtime between this and our last major job, I've stated Galen has been working at making himself more of a known, not big player yet, but known information broker. I feel like she and my working relationship has deepened since then, because I've had more time to devote to a little give and take between the two of us. So I'm going to go with a consort here.
All right. And how many dots do you have in consort? That'll determine how many dice you get.
I have 2.
All right. So let's hold it. Don't roll it yet.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to cut to the nightclub. What's the name of the nightclub?
The Evening Steps. That's the nightlife publication. There we go. That's what it is.
So let's have it happen at the office.
Okay.
We see her head down, papers everywhere, feverishly taking some notes and transcribing some notes that she's been working on. And suddenly it gets dark behind her as you blot out any light that was shining on that. And now she can see nothing. She turns up and she goes, Galen.
Evening.
Evening. Were we supposed to meet?
Nothing on the books. But I had a interesting proposition come my way, and I thought I might be able to discuss a few things with you that may help it succeed for the betterment of both of us down the road.
So she kind of puts the pen down. She's looking around, and you can tell that she's a little uncomfortable with how many people are also sharing this office area with her. And she goes, I think it was time for me to have a smoke anyway. We see the two of you step outside. All right, let's roll that consort. Now he's going to roll 2 dice. We're going to take the better of the 2. On a 1 to 3, he's going to fail. On a 4 or 5, he's going to succeed with complications. On a 6, he will have a full success. And there's things we can do. You could potentially push yourself, add some stress to add a die. The situation you're in is controlled. And yeah, controlled and standard, right? So I don't think you're in a whole lot of danger here. So we'll say controlled and standard. You're asking for information, she'll give it to you.
Okay.
Is there any levers you want to pull, or do you just want to roll the 2 dice?
I'd like to go ahead and spend a stress for a die. Set a good foundation for the heist as we're going forward. Hopefully, leads to less stress being spent later.
Is it 1 or 2 dice? I want to say pushing's 2, isn't it?
Yeah, pushing.
Yeah, that sounds right.
All right, so go ahead and add 2 stress.
Okay.
Let's roll these. So now you're going to roll 3 dice. So you're going to add a die.
Okay.
A 2, 3, and a 4. The only thing that counts is that 4 partial success. So this is going to add another die to the engagement roll, which I think gets us to 3 now, right?
Mhm.
And she says, "I'm listening."
And I essentially, now that we're out of earshot of everyone else, while I'm packing my pipe and passing some of the good tobacco I have to her to share, kind of detail. So we're looking at ways to expand our spider web, as it were, of these tunnels. And we know the billhooks have been in their blundering around harsh ways, causing problems with getting good information here and there. So if we can find better ways to secret information amongst our own networks and get them to have people looking over their shoulders, this benefits both of us. I just need knowledge on how to do so without blowing our cover within getting into the ministry.
So I heard a lot of ways that this helps you.
No, us.
I heard a lot of ways that this helps you.
If memory serves, you were looking to find some information on who is backing the billhooks that you could put pressure on. This is the kind of information they're not going to keep in their hideout where any of their mooks can grab it, but something moving through the tunnels through some of their more trusted, maybe 3 brain cells to rub together people instead of the 2, might be carrying something like that, or we may overhear something. Anything I hear goes straight to your ears.
During that whole time that you're saying that, Galen, she's not making eye contact with you, but she's intently listening, focusing on smoking her cigarette like this is not a habit of hers, right? Though we well know she is. It's a feigned concentration. And there's a pause, and she goes, "So you'll share this if you find it?"
Of course. What are friends for?
We have a new archivist, Kuji Skapa. He just started. He's young. And from my understanding, can be very secretive, but also melodramatic. So if you come across this archivist, knowing he's new, knowing he has a penchant for overreacting and for excitement, do you think that might help you?
I definitely believe it could.
All right, so we cut back to the lair as we have a montage of music. We see the planning, people taking notes, maps are out all over there, and we're going, let's do our engagement roll. I would like Talos to do it, please. So 3 dice, Talos.
The simple 3 dice, right? There is no.
Yeah, I can't remember if there's in Foundry if there's a
Oh,
button
it
for or
was
not.
in the maybe on the crew list.
On the crew sheet.
I
maybe?
don't know. I can just
Yeah, just roll
I can
3d6.
make it simple.
Nice. So not only did you get a
Nick, look at this, how it's done, right?
Yeah.
you got a crit. So if you roll 2 6s, that is a critical. So we smash cut to the Ministry of Records. Tonight there's a bitter, icy rain and a pretty constant breeze. And we see the four of you, but not looking the way we're used to seeing you. Dressed in outfits that tell us a lot of things. Now, for those in the know, it tells us that 4 billhooks are walking up to the Ministry of Records. But if you're not familiar with the billhooks, what it really looks like is 4 people who aren't rich, who aren't fancy, doing their very, very best to appear to be both. And that is a signature of the billhooks. The billhooks think they are more important than they are. They think that they are richer than they are. And for someone not in the know, they might be impressed. But anybody with any status and any money immediately recognizes how the billhooks are putting up a front. Now, as we watch the 4 of you walk up, we see a woman at the top of the stairs. There's a series of stairs that lead up to a very grand entrance to the Ministry of Records. And we see a woman there. She's older, in her 60s. She's in a blue coat outfit. She's uniform blue coat. She's got a bald head. She's got brown eyes, kind of a whiskey colored skin. She's got a bit of a long face, and it's crisscrossed with wrinkles from age and maybe some old scars. And she seems oblivious to the 4 of you walking up the steps until you are about to reach the door. And without a word, her hand extends out, blocking your path. Can I help you?
Playing into the billhook overblownness, just steps up, kind of puffs out his already broad shoulders and chest, and in a fake working voice for him, right, we're here with an appointment. We're here to see your new archivist. We have new plans to update. Got to keep all the paperwork very, very tight, right, and triple stacked.
So you've got your appointment card. And as she says that, we see the faces of the 4 of you go, appointment card. But as that expression goes on your face, we hear a bell. And we hear and see blue coats running past the gate where you guys just went. And you know it's the bell that means someone has died. And we see Iona go, I don't have time for any of this. And she takes off and leaves the door unattended for the 4 of you. Nice engagement roll.
Critically convenient.
Huzzah, someone died.
Tips his hat as she's like leaving. Just be about your business. Like, don't worry, we'll be fine. We know. We're taking it from here. Just opens the door for the rest of them.
Wallace, the whole time he's grunting, like, oh, blind invitation. Oh.
So you open up the door, and it's a heavy door, and it's double doored, and you're really only pushing on the right-hand door, but there must be some sort of gears or mechanisms, because as you're pushing on the right-hand door, the left-hand door goes at the same time, though you're not touching it. And it kind of opens up into this grand 2-story room. There's dilapidated tiles that you could tell if somebody with some money were to buy this place, they could turn this into a very grand place, but this is run by the city and it doesn't always get all of the attention or all the funds. So there's chips on the tiles, and the furniture is functional but old. And in front of you is a long counter. And behind the counter, you can see a series of offices. in those offices, we see heads down. You see people filing and putting things away in all their little offices throughout that. At the front desk, though, as you walk in, you see an Eruvian man. He's probably in his early 40s. He's got very long, straight black hair pulled back into a ponytail. And like many Eruvians, very angular face. You feel like you could cut yourself on the edge of his jaw. It's very lean, and there's chaos to his left. Stacks of papers, things that need to be filed. There's books and things to his right. Behind him is controlled chaos. But in this clerk's space, everything is perfect. Everything is neat. Everything is tidy. As soon as you walk in, he leans his head up, but doesn't say anything.
Walk up to him and pull out of some of my pockets some pieces of my first bit of loadout, my fine cover identity, which is, I think, my most favorite thing I've used in this game. We keep using it because it takes up no space and just like, hi, I'm prepared for you asking me questions about myself thing.
So real quick, I just want to explain. So systematically, this is what happens now is that they have X number of slots of inventory. And as the score goes, they mark those slots down, right? They start using this inventory. And what's great is they can pick out exactly what they need at that exact moment. But the reason they can do that is Lamplighter saw this coming a mile away. He knew what to pack. And this is a great way mechanically to handle the fact that though Roman may not be a wonderful spider who plans heists, Lamplighter is, and this is how it's handled, which I love. So you pull these papers out.
And this is essentially the appointment card that they were asking about earlier. And I go up and we are here to speak to your archivist, Mr. Scappa. We have an appointment, as you can see right there. And I have the plans to update in the archive as needed.
I don't care why you're here. Give me the card.
Hands it over.
And he grabs it, but very tentatively, like his fingers are tweezers. And he's doing his best job to take this while maintaining as much distance between you and him as possible. So he kind of plucks it. I see this was issued 4 days ago.
Right, we planned ahead. It's an appointment. It's how that works.
I think it's interesting.
Why?
Mrs. Scappa started 2 days ago.
Oh. Well,
Yet his name is on the appointment card.
I don't know. Whenever we planned the appointment, that's what they wrote down.
And where did this come from? Who gave you the appointment card listing an archivist who hadn't even started working here yet?
I mean, you set up appointments here. It wasn't you we were speaking with, but we were setting it up like you would do here, right?
Yeah, right. We were here. We were setting it up. Definitely.
Yeah. You know what? Elias is going to try to get his cat to cause a ruckus, his ghost cat, over in the corner
Nice.
to try to discombobulate the situation, try to cause a little chaos.
Okay. So what? And let's quickly bring the audience up to speed on our little pet.
So I have a beautiful little ghost cat. Her name is Phil, which was off the cuff named. But she's my hunting pet. I could utilize her as needed, and she takes command, and she could be in the ghost form. My thought is like any asshole cat, jumps on the counter and starts knocking off that chaotic mess next to uh, uh, this guy in front of us.
So kind of like bringing the chaos that surrounds Arladin, and obviously Arladin has made very special arrangements to keep that chaos at his borders, and we are now thinking of having Phil maybe encroach on that space.
Absolutely.
All right, what is our action?
I'm thinking hunt, because this animal's going to go after a specific like stack of papers that's going to cause the most chaos.
Well, it's not Phil taking the action. I want to know what action Overwatch is going to take to me, so we know what you want to do.
Yep.
How are you going to accomplish this?
I guess it would be probably either command or actually it'd probably be attune, right? Because he's a ghost cat.
It's your choice, my friend.
Communicate with the ghost. Yeah, attune.
Okay, so you're going to attune to try to get Phil. The goal is to put a mess in front of this desk clerk. Definitely risky, right? A risky and standard. I think risky standard. So what do you have in attune?
I have one, and I think I'm going to use a stress.
2 stress.
Yeah.
Okay.
Stress,
Now,
right.
keep in mind too, there's a potential assist that's possible.
Yeah, I was going to say,
Somebody
I feel
else
like
can spend a stress.
Reagan can assist with spooky ghost things.
Okay.
Kind of like while Overwatch is like kind of making the command happen, Reagan's doing something like very subtle magic to like make something very tempting. Like, oh, I don't know, just dropping akin to like putting treats near what you want the cat to go after is just like doing that, but through the ghost veil.
Ghost treats.
Yeah. Ghost tuna cans are now canon.
Yes.
Yep.
All right, so that means you take 1 stress, and that will give an extra die to Nick. So that gives you 2 dice. Let's roll that attune.
With my stress and the assist, it would be +2, right? On top
Correct.
of
So
the attune?
yeah. So if you want to also take 2 stress, you can.
Yeah, I'll definitely do that. And am I able to up the difficulty to desperate to get a greater effect? Or how does that work? Can you
So
change your
Instead of the
position?
die, you could upgrade, I think.
Yeah, you can push to make it like you can push to make it so you push it down a level of severity, like from desperate to
Oh,
risky,
gotcha.
or
Gotcha.
you can push the effect up.
yeah. So if you want to go to
Gotcha.
risky to controlled, we can do that instead of the die, or we
No, let's
can.
just do the let's just do the die. I was looking
All right.
to XP farm, so
We got our 6. That's a full success. Our clerk doesn't see this, but Overwatch's right hand drops below the counter. And we start seeing Overwatch start making some very odd gestures, touching fingers in a very systematic way. And as that starts to happen, we start to see a sparking occurring at his fingertips. And we can see Talos roll his eyes. We can see Galen recognize what's happening and take a half step back.
Yeah.
But what is really interesting is Reagan sees it, and unbeknownst to Overwatch, steps in a little bit, and we see her start making the same gestures. And when she starts making the gestures is when we start to see strings form between Elias's fingers. And slowly we begin to see Phil appear above one of the books to the left of our clerk. And I think what I love the most about this is Overwatch I think you're going, I'm starting to get good at this, having no idea that Reagan is the one that pushed you over the edge.
O's head is going to be this big after this. So
So if we look directly at this stack of books, we don't see anything. But if we look away from the books, we see movement, right? And it's always in the corner of our eye. We see this large cat climb up on top of the books. And we see the paw, and the book flies, and knocking books off the stack. So the stack of books is getting lower and lower as the books start falling in front of him. He's looking at the card and he goes, I just think it's very, and the book falls right on top of his book. And he goes, Lord, good Lord. And he takes a pen and he picks it up and he pushes the book off of the book that he has in front of him. And as soon as he pushes it off, another book comes, and he looks up at the stack and he takes his pen and he pushes this off, and he's pushing the stack back like he feels like maybe it's leaning, but it's not leaning. And he's very much in distress right now. He's trying to understand how these books keep falling into his space, and he is frazzled.
So as he's doing this, Galen, in his billhookness, is going to be as close to understanding and empathetic towards his clear plight as a billhook would be. Just right, and you know, I don't want to be here and make you. Clearly, you have a lot of work to do. It's literally falling on you. You know, like tries to reach in. And,
I can't get any work done. If this keeps happening, I cannot get here. And he hands the card back to you.
Mhm.
And you see him reach under the counter, and you hear like a cranking going. And as that cranking's going, the door at the far end of this counter, you start to see this metal door just roll open. Yeah, go. You're fine. You've got the card. Oh my God, all of this everywhere. Oh God.
Harumph.
As he hands me the card, I grab it. And while he's cranking, in order for him to be able to do that, I'm like holding the stack of books open or up. And as he says go, I'm like, of course, thanks.
And they just, and the weight of the cat, Phil just rolls in front of him. And yeah, I really don't get a sense that Arladin has any visibility to the ghost field whatsoever. But it's just absolute chaos as we watch the four of you take your way to the back. It's a series and a maze of hallways that you work your way through. And it's just office after office after office of bookkeepers, accountants, people organizing here, filing there, reading this, stacking there. None of that has any interest because you know it's on the second floor in the restricted archives. So the four of you work your way up there. You get up to the second floor, and there's an unmarked, innocuous door. But you know what it is. That's the beauty of going to visit your reporter. And it's so innocuous that you open it up to a closet. Reagan stops, Overwatch goes, Talos gives a look, and then we see Lamplighter push past, touch a panel, and the fake back of the closet opens. And the smell overtakes you as you walk in to the secret archive. It is a windowless room, and also 2 stories, enormous, but in no way attempting to look anything other than functional. Everything in the room is functional. Rows and stacks and mazes of shelves and filing cabinets and storage all over the place. You see the air is unnaturally dry, and it's as soon as you cross into this room that you feel it. Like your lips become a little parched almost immediately. And I think only Reagan recognizes that this has been done purposefully, that there has been some sort of charms or something that has been put in this room to make sure that no liquid can potentially ruin or touch any of the archives, any of the papers. It's this strange arcane dehumidifier. So through all of the mazes and things, you get kind of that woody paper smell that almost smells a little bit like coffee. And on top of all of that, you can smell that black ink that really isn't used much anymore because it's so expensive now. But all of you love books, and all of you immediately recognize it. And through the maze, you see the person that Lamplighter was prepared to talk to. Kuchiscapa, far, far too young to have a job this important. And he's obviously, just by looking at him from the Dagger Isles, so maybe he's got some connections. He's got curly gray hair, though he's not old. He's got an Aruvian brown skin. He wears a knit cap. And you can see him fluttering across the shelves in the file cabinets, almost like a dance, as he has a basket attached to his belt, and slowly just you see him floating around, filing this to here, this to here, this to here, this goes here, that doesn't belong here, and it's like a ballet as he works his way through. Hey, McBluff, thanks for the gift, man.
So, knowing that Kuji is secretive, young, and has that bit of melodrama, going to do a weird blend of like posture-wise, still doing the I'm big man on campus, doing the thing, but going to add into that bit of performance a bit of what a civilian would think a spy on the job would add, of the like I'm doing quick looks around me, like if there's any kind of mirror so you can see down like an aisle that I'm not actually in, I'm like making sure I'm checking there. And just overplaying it more than an actual professional would, so that it's obvious to him. And get up to, and I motion to the others to like, we're gonna do this in a single file line, kind of do what I do.
Just like
we
we
got some
planned.
exactly. And sidle up to him in that almost like Batman shows up behind Jim Gordon kind of way. Just suddenly I'm there, even though he's very clearly seen me.
Well, I don't know if he has, because he's kind of floating around doing the thing, and he goes to reach, and you're there, and he goes, oh,
Archivist Scaper,
yes.
we had an appointment. And I this wouldn't be the appointment card, but this would be the with the fine cover identity, there would have been some kind of missive sent to him, so he knows to expect us as we currently appear. Again, very cloak and dagger, sounds like coded wording that you could read into however it is. And in that, we'll say that there was supposed to be kind of a sign countersign. And I will say, wonderful day we're having. The sun is shining. And he knows to say, yes, but the ice is slippery.
Boy, you're asking for a lot from an inventory item. So it sounds like Lamplighter understood that there would be, in order to get access to the real goods, that there would have to be a little bit of a covert exchange between you and the archivist.
Mhm.
That is not information we got from our
Right.
contact. So I need to understand how we know this and how we arrange this. So we've got to somehow get this information to Scappa. We've got Scappa to believe it,
Mhm.
and in order to be prepared to make this happen. So how did Lamplighter do this?
In the course of preparing this cover identity, uh, would have to. We've dealt with the bill hooks enough to have seen some of their what they think are their signs and countersigns, and as those would be, simplistic as they would be, um, enough to pretty easily fake them in writing. Uh, and essentially, in setting up this fake appointment, because we did actually have an appointment. We goofed on the days ahead.
Okay.
We overdid that. That goofed with the clerk. But we did actually have to do this, which means it would actually have to go to him to let him know you have an appointment.
Yeah, I'm good with that. I'm good with
Okay.
I'm good with you
Yeah,
guys having done that. Where I'm
Okay.
struggling, and I want to remind everybody else at the table, this doesn't have to be just Lamplighter helping out here, right? So how did we, as a crew, make sure that Scappa, though startled by Lamplighter, was expecting the bill hooks to show up and knows exactly what exchange of words need to happen in order to let me show you the real stuff.
I have a flashback in mind.
Okay.
I think that Talos would, like, in a sense, we are all preparing fake IDs and everything, right? That's the main gist of what we're doing here. But I think we needed to get his attention to recognize us as billhooks. That's the problem we're trying to solve. So Talos would know how to contact him via, I don't know, some mail. Maybe there is a mail system like a cube mail, but something maybe more fancy, or some delivery system that billhooks would have with this archivist. And Talos would be able to tap on that system and send the message that way to expect like this keyword that we've introduced ourselves with.
I have
Right, so
something to add to that.
Yeah, please.
So he's new. The system that the billhooks have been using to hide these tunnels from the archive is not. So he's the new guy on campus
Mm-hmm.
that in his like training day, they basically kind of alluded to this of, okay, someone from these various gangs, because I'm sure everybody has something going on here,
Right.
to hide their own stuff. You know, here's your clipboard of these guys act this way, these guys will bribe you this much, and you can push them for this much more. That's already been set up by the archive. That's just how they roll. This is us playing off that we know that that's happening, and then Talos is basically sending the information through the library or archive mail to the new guy on campus, going, "Hey, you have an appointment."
Basically,
Here's
wiretapping and putting, yeah.
Exactly.
All right. So
Our
we're going to take two stress on this flashback, and we're going to go back to that flashback. So what we see is we cut to 3 days earlier, and we see Talos at his desk, and he's got a series of knives and pens, and he has got a paper in front of him that has very specific instructions in a billhook coded language. And with Reagan's help, he's been able to decipher this language. He's now recognizing that this is a secret note that is being passed to the archivist to let him know when a billhook who is authorized to get access to these very important papers is to show up. And we see Talos copying it, right? Creating a forgery of this letter. We then cut 2 days earlier. So it's a day later from the forgeries. We see Talos has this forgery in the inside of his jacket. Him and Overwatch are standing on a sidewalk in Duskvol. And we see the mail carriage coming down the street. And both Overwatch and Talos know that the mail carrier has his standard bag of deliveries that he will bring to the Ministry of Records, but he also has a special belt pocket where the other letters are delivered to very specific people at different parts of the government. And now we get to watch Talos and Overwatch somehow get their forgery into that pocket. But we're going to do that after break. We'll be back in 10 minutes. So I want to describe this carriage because in our Duskvol there are no horses. They were eaten a long, long time ago. And so what we have is essentially imagine a stagecoach, right? And we have our main mail carrier is at the front of the stagecoach, and like Model T steering. You remember those? Have you ever seen those old Model T steerings where it's kind of a handle that's just in front of them, almost like a joystick, and that's how they turn the wheel manually left and right. But we can also see the sparks of the plasmic energy that's fueling the wheels as this thing creaks forward.
So is he going like walking speed? Can we catch up to this?
Oh, very
stage?
much so. Yeah, it's a very slow, deliberate, and you watch as he stops at one of the buildings and he hops out of the cart, takes a bag, goes into that government building, comes back out, and you just watch as he slowly works his way down the street towards you.
What is my idea to use this opportunity when he gets out of the building and do the classic that, oh sorry I hit you, mister, but with a twist. You said we're there with Overwatch, right?
Yes, I have
So
the two of you
Overwatch.
here for the flashback.
So Overwatch, just if you could go there, pretend that you would try to hit him and try to steal some of his stuff, and do it obviously so that he sees you and just calls you out and you just run away. And meanwhile I will do the real switcheroo while you do this guys. And I would like to do the switcheroo, and I'm thinking if we can go to the action.
Well, first we got to let Overwatch do his part. So
Oh, that's true.
He comes out of, he's 2 doors down from the Ministry of Records. And the two of you have now crossed the street. You're on the same side of the street as he is. And he walks out and we see him take his bag. He opens up the carriage door and he's loading the bag in, and he's closing it and latching it. And he's about to go to the little kind of step ladder that's along the side of the carriage so he can get up onto the carriage.
Elias's flashback to episode 1. Clumsily just gonna ram right into this guy like he's out exercising or something, and just the goal is to try to cause such a ruckus to where I fall down while grabbing his shirt, like, or his coat, and kind of land on my back where I'm holding him so he's exposed for shenanigans to happen.
So he walks in, and then at the last second he turns because he senses movement, doesn't see, and this Overwatch just comes and just bowls him over, and he gets knocked and falls back onto onto you on top of it. Good Lord, sir, sir, and he's trying to get free, and you're just holding his shoulders down, and he basically, if like the old Street Fighter technique of taking the jacket and pulling it down on his arms to trap his arms. Sir, what is going on here, sir? Let go of me! Let go of me, sir!
Go ahead, Cornelius.
As this is happening, and I'm hearing my cue that there is a huge mess going on, I was leaning on the back of the stagecoach, waiting for this moment to happen. I appear from behind the stagecoach, walk to these people, and as the person is getting up and trying to, what happened here, you filthy pig? How could you like put me down, or something in that fashion? I would go there and just do the switcheroo. So I'm thinking,
I'm going to change this up a little bit with you, Talos.
Yeah,
We're going to roll.
yeah.
You're going to get to roll, buddy. I promise.
yeah,
So, I'm imagining Overwatch is not letting go. And you walk up, and he's got this guy trapped. His arms are like Velociraptor arms right now, right? Like, and he goes, "Good sir, could you help me, please? This man is attacking me, and I am part of the Ministry of Delivers, and I have a job to do. And good sir."
yes, and I will approach him and try to, get off him. Like, what are you doing on the streets? Like, just say sorry to this man, at least.
He stands up and he's brushing himself off, and he goes, "Are you some sort of vagrant?" You smell.
Elias on the ground is like, "Oh, my back! Oh, I'm so sorry! Oh, screw you, asshole!" And then he runs.
All
Are
right,
you okay, sir? Is everything fine with
right.
you?
And he's trying to get his jacket on, but it looks like it's gotten all twisted by Overwatch. So he's pulling his sleeve out, and this is your opportunity because you see the belt as he pulls his sleeve out to try to straighten his jacket. So what is our action?
My action would be to do the switcheroo, and I'm thinking finesse would be fitting for this.
Love it. So how many dots do you have in finesse?
I have 2 dots there. I'm thinking.
Would I be able to assist because I assisted already physically?
Yeah, I'm okay with you giving an assist. So this is going to be a desperate action with standard effect. So with that assist, we could move that up from desperate to risky if you'd like.
What's your devil's bargain? Can I do the same thing with devil's bargain?
Ooh, yes, you could. All
Welcome
right,
back
a
to Blades.
devil's bargain here. So with the devil's bargain, first we got to decide what the success looks like, right? So if you roll the success, you will switch this out. All right. So this mail carrier knows that he has a special letter. He doesn't know what it is. A special letter that he's supposed to give to the archivist at the second floor part of the ministry. And with a success, you will not only switch it out for a devil's bargain, but I will also give you perfect forgery along the way. So it's an impenetrable forgery and the switch will happen. So I got to make this real tempting for you. But ooh, this is going to bring you 2 heat because Overwatch and his, playing his part, he runs off, turns the corner, and bowls right into 2 blue coats. And they take him down to the station. So what it'll effectively do is we're going to add 2 additional heat to the score. That's the devil's bargain. But it'll get you you can either go from desperate to standard or desperate to risky, or we can add a die.
Or we can do the better effect, right?
I'm giving you that as part of this devil's bargain, right? So the effect
okay.
is not only is the forgery perfect, but you do the switch.
So I have 2 dice of my own, 1 die from Nick for the assist, and I would go from. I take 4th die then instead.
All right, 4 dice. So we're going to take the desperate action. Go ahead and put yourself a dot of experience for using finesse and a desperate. Desperate standard, 4 dice. Like, I don't even know why we're bothering to roll. It's going to be a crit.
Well, now that you've said that now, don't jinx us like that, Craig.
So it's desperate and great, right? Sorry.
Correct. Desperate, great effect.
And
I'll take it.
Yeah, you got your.
My animation of the dice were like 3 2s, and one of them were slowly tipping over 6. I don't know if it's the same for everyone, but
it was dramatic. The first thing I saw was the 2s, and I'm like, oh God. All right. The camera's going to go in close, Talus. The audience is going to watch this unbelievable demonstration of finesse. What happens?
I'm like, sir, you're so messy here. That person, like, and I'm betting like his one shoulder from some mess that he has there, the other hand like just goes in, and it's like I have in those 2 fingers I have like one of the message, and with the other 2 fingers I at the same time as I'm putting one message in, I'm taking the previous one out, and I just help him nicely back to the stagecoach. Coach, I wish him well, and I hope that he's good, and say my farewell.
For the audience, I'm imagining it looks like a card trick. So we see your hand go near the pocket, but we never see the switch happen. It just miraculously, the color of the paper that was in your hand as you approach the pocket slightly changes colors. It's going away. And it looks like literally like a magician, just like cut back. We're in the
David Blaine could
archive.
learn from me.
I want you to recover a stress, Talos. That was good. So only take one stress for the flashback. We cut back. Mr. Scappa is startled by you, Lamplighter. Goes and it goes. Oh, sorry, time got away from me.
As perfectly happens. It's understandable.
And you are to say,
The sun is shining.
oh, but the sun died many, many years ago. Excellent. I don't think I was anticipating 4 of you. That I don't think that was originally planned, but if my on remembering correctly, I was supposed to take you to archive B74. Is that correct?
Yes, that is perfectly correct, but there's
It is.
only one of me.
No, sir. No, there's you,
There's
There's-
only one of me.
her, and
I grab him by the shoulder nicely, but firmly, again, playing the big billhook boy, and kind of just pivot him around so that we're walking. I'm just behind him, lips at his ear, going, "There's only one of me. I know you're new at this."
I heard what you said, sir, and I'm taking you there, but I'm telling you, there's 3 people with you. And it just kind of, we see you pushing him forward and walking forward. So he takes you through an area, and you come to what appears to be initially a dead end. And he asks you to step back. And as you step back, he pulls a drawer out of a file cabinet that's very close to it. And as he pulls the file cabinet out, you see a series of gears instead of a series of papers inside of this. And you see him flicking a sequence on these gears. And you hear starting inside this drawer, but then you hear it extending up the wall, the sound go up the wall, and you hear the and almost magically, we see a pole drop at this dead end, and like a helicopter propeller wings, we see steps kind of, and a spiral staircase appears, taking you up a story. He goes, I recommend that you only do this one at a time. I'm not sure it can handle the weight of more than one of you.
Understood. After you.
Oh, I'm not going up there. Please.
Very well. I make my way up there. And once I'm up, I depending on how far it goes, if it's visually possible, I would just like wave the next person up. Otherwise, I would do like a tap on like the handrail to let them know.
And we see Lamplighter get up to the very top, and there is like a small antechamber that when you get there, and there's a door there, and you're flagging your friends up. All 3 of you make your way up the steps,
I
and
think someone should probably wait back.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Joe.
I think someone should probably wake back. So unless anyone else volunteers, Reagan will just like stand back and wait with
Mr. Scappa.
with the Scappa.
So we see Talos then go up. We see Overwatch go up, and we see Mr. Scappa kind of looking at Reagan. It's clear. You want to go back downstairs? I think you look fine. I've got things to do. You guys get up there. You're at the door.
Shit.
The staircase is in place.
Excellent. Anything weird with the door? Okay. At this point, Galen's probably, this is deep enough into it that the information he would have gotten would have been probably sketchy on specific things. But given the setup, there's no reason to believe that this is a trap or anything. So he's just going to move forward with the confidence of a man holding a clipboard exactly where he should be.
Yeah, and you know what is next is kind of like a almost like a reading room is what's going to be on the other side of this door, and it's a place where all of the secret bill hook documents are, and then there's chairs in the middle of the room where someone could grab documents, read them. Documents are never to leave this room, right? So you go there, you look at these documents, maybe take notes on them, but the documents are then put back, and you go up to this place without any documents, and you come down from this place with any documents. And this is true of any of the secret archives that are up here on the second floor. So you open the door, you see a series of high back chairs that are in the center of the room. You're used to these high back chairs kind of in a semicircle with tables in front of each one of them, almost like little desks. Oddly, all of the chairs have their backs to you, which is a little odd. And we cut back to Reagan. We see Reagan standing at the bottom of the steps, making sure, as she was supposed to do, that you guys were not interrupted. We then cut to the young archivist as he's walking away, and we see at the last minute him put his arm up and grab a book. And as he grabs this book, we see his sleeve fall to his elbow, and we see a tattoo of a billhook. As he pulls the book, and we hear the click, 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 and the steps collapse as the pole pulls up. Cut into the reading room, and a woman stands up who was sitting in the high back chair. And it's somebody that all three of you have met before.
Oh.
You immediately recognize Erin. This is Captain Terval's sister. Captain Terval is interned currently in prison. She has been running the billhooks. She turns. She has got a masculine face, very, very cropped back short hair, and wearing kind of a blue pinstripe vest with blue pinstripe pants, a series of buckles and belts all over her, covered with two sleeves of tattoos on her naked arms. Well, it appears that the breadcrumbs I left were picked up. We have a lot to talk about.
Not dropping the personality he's wearing, because don't want to give away actual identity. Because just because breadcrumbs have been picked up doesn't mean they know who they're picked up by. But very not wanting to, again, being professional about this, like we've been had. Okay, you want to talk? Let's deal. He in barrel-chested Bill Hook boy voice is going, I'd love to have a conversation with you. What would you like to talk about? And kind of does an after you at the nearest open chair.
So she turns to the other chairs and she says, boys, that has to be the worst Bill Hook accent I have ever heard. And we see four other gentlemen stand up from the other high back chairs as we cut down to Reagan, as Reagan watches the steps collapse and the pole retract up and the door in the ceiling close. Reagan, you look down this hallway where you saw our friend pull the book, and he is now leaning up against the stack
Mhm.
in a much more confident stance than he did before. And obviously physically blocking you from if you had any intention on leaving this dead end.
Mhm.
That says nothing.
Oh, fun. Well, here's how this is going to go. I'm gonna start like kind of walking over, relatively congenially, which, given the situation, you know, we'll see what that comes with. So the way this is going to go is either you're going to pop that open and allow us to leave, or you won't even remember your mother's name.
I hated me mother. And his hand comes down, somehow blended in with the books. He now has a bill hook in his hand.
Mhm.
I think you wait there for your friends.
Gonna reach into a jacket pocket, pull out a small compact mirror, just kind of nod and like turn and like have it over my shoulder so it's facing him. And I have a lot of risk here. I'm just gonna try some heckin' magic. So I have a ritual that I can do. That is, hold on, I gave all of these dumb names. Etheric sentence.
And what does the Etheric sentence do? This was a long-term project of yours, if I remember correctly.
This was. So this is a ritual that, using the mirror as a focus, can supplant the memories of a subject with that echo across the veil. Like, it doesn't have to be anywhere at all linked. In fact, in this circumstance, it's even funnier if they're aggressively sporadic.
So if this is successful, what happens to our friend?
Uh, my kind of intent is to like mess with his memory. I'm not looking for specifics. I'm looking for just mess with his memory enough to like disorientate him.
Okay. And what is our action?
I feel like this is a tune.
I'm good with this being a tune. How many dots do we have in a tune?
We have to.
So this is definitely desperate. He is well armed and has obviously been putting on an act this whole time. You immediately can tell by the way he's holding this bill hook, by the way he is standing, that he is good at what he does. There's a reason that Aaron put him here in the archive 2 days ago. There's a reason that she knew 4 days ago that he would be working there when she helped create the card that Lamplighter thought he came across, because he's so damn clever. So definitely desperate. And if the goal is to just cause him to be flooded with these memories and these thoughts and this confusion, I'm good with standard. So desperate standard is your position and effect.
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to push because I want this to work so bad.
All right. So we'll add 2 stress to push. What does the push look like? So what do you push to give yourself better chances?
So the way this push kind of works is like she is now at her limit of pretending this isn't affecting her. So like as soon as we turn around, like we kind of see like how she's very cunningly like left the mirror so it's facing him, and then we kind of cut around to like a view of just like the darkest fucking expression, like I am gonna end this entire man's career.
All right. All right. So what are we going to do with this push? Add a die, right? I think that's the only thing you can do with the push is add a die.
Yeah, we will add it.
So still desperate. Make sure you get yourself the XP, and the next is going to give you 4 dice. Is that right?
3.
3 dice. So you have 2 in a tune plus the third.
Yep.
All right.
Sorry, you said desperate standard?
A desperate standard. Yep.
Yep, cool. 1 5. Plus 1 in tie die. Cool.
So I'll intrude in a moment, but walk me through this ritual.
So when we kind of saw her working on this earlier, like it was kind of with the intention of like removing memories from people that have seen us or spotted us. So the kind of twitching, like the like playing the orchestra strings, like that has been fairly common with Reagan's magic, like is kind of playing like across her chest as she's focusing on the mirror and the reflection, and like the little that you can see of the reflection like shifts, and we begin to see like things kind of play out from his memory, and then it's kind of split screen with just like strange strange glimpsed memories from the veil. And as she's kind of tugging, we see that the tattoo along her arm, that is the kind of skeletal hand wreathed in black flame, there are additions. There are now like rose thorns kind of playing across it. The flames begin to like flicker, and as it seems she runs into some sort of difficulty. There's like the tattoo, the flame on the hand like extinguishes.
So we see this happening. We see the focus through the mirror concentrating on him, and there's a weird confidence about him, and he isn't bothered by you walking away. You're being somewhat overt about this mirror. He doesn't seem to be very affected by that, and you're able to, even though you've got your back to him, you're able to watch him very closely in the mirror. And as you're watching him closely in the mirror, we can see kind of these tendrils start to leave the mirror and heading towards him. And as we see these tendrils headed towards his head, in a flash, right before the tendrils hit his temples, suddenly his reflection's not there. And suddenly, Reagan, he's there, directly in front of you.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, "You're not the only one."
Oh,
So I'm going to give you severe harm.
Yep.
He is going to swing the bill hook and gash your arm.
Mhm.
Now, here's a mechanic. There's no dice rolling for the GM, right? So because of this failure, there's a consequence to this failure. And in this case, because of the desperate action, this is why you want to try to upgrade your position, right? The fact that this was desperate makes this a severe thing. So this is how the world acts on you. But here's what's neat. I've said this is what happens. And Joe, the player, has an option to resist this consequence. And all Joe has to say to me goes, "No, he doesn't." Right? And
Mhm.
that's done. So the bill hook does not swing. He may swing it, but he is not going to gash her harm and give her severe harm in this process. But it's at a cost of 6 stress. Joe then gets to roll a die, and whatever he rolls is subtracted from that 6. So what is your total stress right now, Joe?
It is 3 out of whatever number this is. 1, 2, 3 out of 9. So
Okay. So you could take, if you take all 6 of the stress, then you'd be out. So you definitely, if you were going to resist this, you will not be taken out of the score by maxing out your stress. Do you wish to resist this severe harm?
you know, I kind of don't want to get stabbed when I'm about to do a wizard duel. Yeah, let's resist a consequence.
Oh,
It's
Garthner here. Well, technically, when it's a harm, it only lowers harm by 1 level, but you do you. Oh, really?
Mm,
So when you resist, oh, okay. So what we'll do is
that's
we'll
true.
call this. That I did not know that. So instead of severe harm, we'll call it, what is it? Mild, or what is it? Minor
Moderate.
harm. So we'll downgrade it to a minor harm, to a cut on the arm, as opposed to a gashed arm.
Yeah.
So do you want to resist it and lower the harm by 1? Hey, Garthner, thank you. So let's
well,
roll 1 die and let's subtract whatever you roll from 6.
don't you resist with insight, prowess, or resolve, correct?
Oh, that's right. You get to roll the best die of
Mhm.
that. That's correct. Yep.
Or you tell me what I'm resisting with. Like how is it? Like it could just be like I am ducking out of the way, or like I see it coming, or
I want to see.
I
I
have
want to see Reagan physically do this.
cool. I have 2 in all of them anyway, so
Okay. Yeah. Let's have you let's have you physically pull back in time to where just the top of the bill hook is going to slice your arm, giving you that minor harm, and then the bill hook is going to lodge into the bookshelf.
Mhm.
So let's see how much stress this costs you to resist this. All right, so you're going to end up suffering two of that stress because you rolled a 4.
Mhm.
So then go ahead and give yourself a minor harm, which is a cut on the arm. So we see that Bill, he completely, obviously doing his own little wooju, was not standing where she thought he was actually still in front of her, and she gets cut, and we see her pull back just in time just to see the butt, and we see your shirt get torn. We see the blood come as we cut back to the 4 men standing up with Aaron. They turn around, all of them bald, all of them at least 8 inches taller than anybody else in the room, all of them almost as wide as 2 of you put together. And all of them, this is how you know they're serious, have face tattoos. That has to be the worst Bill Hook accent I've ever heard. Don't you agree, boys? And the boys stand up and goes, the worst. And they, all of them, like in synchronized swimming, just push their high back chairs away that's blocking them from being between you, the 5 of them and the 3 of you.
Okay. So I've been thinking about this. Thank you for the extra time, by the way.
Thank you for splitting the party.
I feel like this is probably going to need a flashback, but in the process of setting this up, Galen's been doing this long enough with his essentially military background of doing spycraft. This is too easy. The breadcrumbs are too perfectly laid out.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm. So, and I don't know how this would work mechanically, because I've already used my fine cover identity, but I feel like there's a second layer to it of this was the cover for the cover of who I'm faking to be. Which in this case, I feel like it's got to be an authority figure. It's got to be someone that the Bill Hooks would sit up and take notice and go, oh, we can't just murder you in the archive. I'm thinking it's got to be someone in the blue coats, or I think it's the black coats is the military, isn't it? If I remember correctly.
I don't remember.
Okay, I'm pulling something from somewhere else then. But essentially, for all of these gangs to work as they do, basically woven in with the establishment with a wink and a nod and plenty of bribes, the blue coats are aware of all of this, or at least enough of it to make sure that they get paid.
All right, so before we go too far, I'm going to throw something out at you, and you tell me what you think about this, Roman.
Yeah.
So it sounds to me what you want to be really going on here is that during this entire score, even though us watching thought that the 4 of you were going to go steal this stuff, in reality, Lamplighter already knew that this was a PSYOP operation, that this was planted information, knew exactly who he was going to run into when you guys get up to the archive, and almost put yourself in this is exactly what you expected, exactly where you wanted to be. So somehow we have to figure out a way for you in a flashback to have figured this PSYOP out, right? To figure out that this was a double, thing here. And I'm going to give you a nugget.
Okay.
I'm going to give you, and you tell me what the flashback is, but I'm going to put at your disposal Ulf Ironborn. So Ulf Ironborn is almost his own faction, and he essentially has become a very powerful force in Coleridge. And one of his rivals is the Bill Hooks. And he is trying to lead a workers' movement among many of the Severosi in Coleridge to free themselves of all of the criminal enterprises that is keeping Coleridge the slums that it is. So I want to hear how either Ulf is going to be the person who tips you off,
Mhm.
but I want you to explain to me the flashback. Are you okay with that?
Yeah, I think that works.
Okay, so what's the flashback?
Okay, the flashback is, again, Galen's been working these past month or weeks, whatever it is, to be more information broker himself, and has been in dealings with Ulf. And has been doing well enough with little jobs that Ulf was like, "Hey, these guys are gonna bend you over when you're not expecting it, and you've been working well enough with me that I would rather not have you die if I'm not the one doing it." And gives me this tidbit, and I go, "Okay, how can we make this work for both of us?"
All right, so I'm gonna create the scene.
Mhm.
We again in heist movie fashion, smash cut 7 days ago, and you are in a warehouse, and you're being escorted by a bunch of dock workers to this back office in this warehouse on the edge of the wharfs, and you're taken inside, and this gentleman who is unnaturally tall has his back to you, and he's got a map of Coleridge in front of him. And he goes, I assume you're here, Galen, because you have been getting the clues I've been getting as well.
A bit too precisely laid out breadcrumbs, yes.
I agree. And I have to say, of course, I saw through it immediately. And of course, I would never send anybody up there to get this information. But I may have underestimated you. He still has his back to you. So now that we know what Aaron is up to, what are we going to do about it?
Well, what you're trying to do long term, Mr. Ironborn, requires bold strokes and requires the billhooks and other especially large enterprises to be taken down a few pegs to start with. And if we do that with a gang the size of them in a notable way, it will help your movement by taking their weight off of the necks of the people. I've been racking my brain as to how we can go up there so that you benefit, we benefit, and hopefully don't die. Suffer undue harm, as it were.
Well, I have to say, Galen, of course, the easiest way not to go up there and die is to not go up there. That's what I've decided.
Well, of course, I'm not asking you to go up there. I'm saying if no one goes up there, they now know that we know that these are breadcrumbs, and they'll do it better next time.
He turns around for the first time and gives you a look, and he goes, "You are very clever."
I do my best.
I need a roll.
Okay.
What action are we using to make this happen?
I
To
feel
get
like
Ulf to help you. We don't know how he's going to help you yet, but if we're trying to get Ulf to help you,
based on that scene, I feel like we're a close enough working relationship that consort still works.
I'm good with that. I'm
Cool.
good with that. Let's make it just standard risky. You guys have a relationship. Obviously, crossing Ulf Fireborn is not a good thing, so it's not controlled.
Mhm.
So yeah, I'm good with consort. How many dots?
I got 2, and I would like to push.
Great. Let's go ahead and add the stress.
Okay.
Where does that put you?
That puts me at 4, but you haven't told me how much this flashback's going to be yet.
I'll tell you at the end.
Okay. All right.
It's going to be at max 2, though, just so you have an understanding.
Gotcha.
Yep. Partial success. You do it, but there's a consequence. You suffer harm. A complication occurs. You have reduced effect, or you end up in a desperate position. I'm going to go. I like the desperate position. So let's whatever we're about to propose between you and Ulf. He will do it. He will go along with it. So you guys have a plan, knew this was going to happen. In some way, he's going to now help you upstairs. But as great as it would have been to have this help put you in a much more riskier controlled situation, it's still going to be desperate as hell when we get back and flashback there again.
Mhm.
So he goes, I like what you're offering. I'm still not clear what you're asking.
We need to go up there with a layered disguise, where the second layer is someone that Aaron has to listen to. I'm thinking someone in the blue coats, high enough to say we know that whatever agreement they have hasn't been followed to the letter, as blue coat or as bill hooks like to shift when people aren't looking. And we're calling in the markers, someone who says we knew what you were doing, and if I don't come down unharmed in the next hour, your whole operation is going to be set ablaze, or something reasonably dramatic. Not set ablaze. We'll say that they're going to be raided.
Clever.
Just their leaders, though, so that their people are free to go to, not dropping your name, but other interested parties that may be pulling manpower from the bill hooks.
Clever. Clever. Ridiculously complicated.
Yes.
Ridiculously complicated. Problem. Aaron's not afraid of the blue coats. I do wonder, though, does anybody notice how Ulf Ironborn's accent is changing as he talks? I do wonder if threatening her brother in prison might be of effect. So, do this. He hands you a sheet of paper.
Mhm.
Those are the 3 guards she thinks are on payroll, keeping her brother safe. Invoke my name. Make it clear to her that if any harm comes to you, Ironborn is in a position to end him.
Understood and much appreciated.
We cut back. Go ahead and take 1 stress. We cut
Cool.
back. We've got all of them here. They have tossed these chairs to the side. We've got Talos, we've got Overwatch, we've got Lamplighter there. And she has done, in her mind, this huge reveal that, aha, you followed the clues, the breadcrumbs that I laid to grandmother's house, and now I'm going to put you into the oven and bake you little children.
Still stuck in the melodramatic bit from earlier. As this reveal happens, he gives her exactly what she wants. He gives her the, and I imagine has, after that conversation with Ulf, told the rest of them to do the same.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
But does the meme of, oh no, anyway. So it's a, oh, seriously, and drops the accent completely. In fact, picks up an entirely different one, sounding more like Ulf. Not his voice exactly, but
Right, but a
wherever he
Skolvan
came
accent.
from. Exactly. Well, and Galen is Skolvan.
Perfect.
So he can do this no problem, but he's going to make sure it's not his own voice.
And we're watching this transformation of Lamplighter happen in real time, almost looking like he's physically changing. Though it's just a change in how he stands and how he looks, and getting out of this billhook skin back into his own skin. And we see these 4 men start to create a corral and start slowly, with no urgency, start closing the distance between the two, as we cut down to Reagan holding her arm, and we've got our friend, our fresh new quote unquote archivist, trying to yank the knife out of the side of the bookcase where it lodged.
Does he have? So, a couple of questions. Are the lights in here electric?
Sure.
Cool. Is he carrying anything aside from a large hook?
You help me out. So I'm sure he is, but give me a sense of what you're
Ye-
looking for, and I'll tell you if that's doable.
He's proven to do some magic stuff. Like as like he's swung forward, is there anything that is immediately like I recognize as, oh, that's similar to some things that I have? Like
Yeah.
does he have his arcane tools?
There's a series of vials that you now can recognize. So when he's kind of like, as he's gone here, his coat is billowed up, and you see on where his back wallet would be, there's on his belt, you see a series of vials, and you know that those are arcane in nature.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so so electricity is run off of demon blood, and whispers can heck around with demon blood, perhaps send some sort of surge through it, or like agitate it to a point where it is very dangerous. So I'm gonna try that.
All right, what's our action?
I'm hoping a tune.
All right, so we'll do a tune, which is, to tap into the ghost field, create this ectoplasmic surge, and we'll have, the lanterns that are kind of leaning over each of these shelvings to create this electroplasmic surge and targeting these arcane tools that are on his belt. I'm good with a tune. No question, this is desperate, but we'll give you standard. So that's your position and your effect. Do you want to do anything with this?
For a push, what might a devil's bargain look like, Craig?
Ooh, devil's bargain. So on a success with this devil's bargain, it is going to arc electroplasmic lightning from these 4 lamps that are up above to his arcane tools, which will then unleash, contained in his body, all of the ghosts that he's got locked up in each of those vials, and it will take him out. But ooh, whoa, let me think. It is going to put you in a very, very bad place with her name's not, or their name's not Lissa. What is it?
Oh, Nerix?
Nerix, thank you. It's going to put you in a bad place with Nerix. Nerix really finds this to be sloppy, blunt, and really counter to what they thought your relationships were with ghosts. To use them cheaply like this as a tool. So it is going to really, really put a strain on it. So I'm going to start a clock. It would be a 4-segment clock with 1 segment filled, which is you lose them as a contact.
Okay.
That's your devil's bargain.
So the way I see this is I'm going to be doing this regardless. So if that like logic that makes sense narratively to me, so there's actually no reason not to take this devil's bargain.
Okay.
Because if I'm doing this and expending those ghosts as cheaply as I am,
but
then...
it doesn't mean that they know this happened, though, right? So
yeah,
what I'm saying is that they know this, and I'm also dictating their reaction to this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because that's cool. If I survive this, that's narratively awesome, and
Okay,
I
good.
can't wait to make reparations with them.
All right.
So
let's go ahead and add the die for the devil's bargain.
So,
And then just after the session here, we'll start the clock.
yeah, cool. So +1 die, desperate standard. Please, for me, your friend.
Yeah.
Yes.
Two 6s. All right, so a few things. One, make sure you give yourself that XP for the desperate if you haven't already. Nyrix, though not anywhere near here, senses all of this happening, and this is what happens. We see the kind of the greenish hue of the electroplasmic lamps start to go, and our young archivist is kind of straightening himself out, pulls the bullhawk out, and sees you holding your arm and the blood coming off, but also notices the hand gestures happening. And he knows he's short on time. And he starts running.
With this being so dramatic, it's not like she's plucking a single instrument. It's a fucking conducting an orchestra.
Nice. To the point where you're not even covering your arm. You're just letting yourself bleed. Right. So instead of you holding your arm, you have let that go and you are doing the full gestures, and we're watching as you're losing blood as this is happening. And it's in slow motion as he is now coming towards you, bill hook up. This is going to be the end of Reagan. And when we see the arc, the first arc and the first ghost vial, and we see the spirit immediately go up his belt right into his nose. And then the next one changed, and the next one changed, and they're going, and we just see these spirits go up his body, through his skin, like veins, like green veins forming as they go into eyes and into mouth and into ears and just start filling his head. And as it comes up, it's like time stops and he freezes. And his eyes have gone white. And whether the pupils have rolled up or the pupils are gone or what, nobody knows, but the eyes are completely white. Bill hook drops. He falls back. And before he hits the ground, green energy explodes brains all along the sides. Give me 1 second. And now we see Reagan put her arm back up, stop her bleeding. And we see her looking down as we see the pool of blood from the back of where his head was, just slowly expanding into the wood floor. We cut back up. The men are starting to surround you. Erin's got you exactly where she wanted you. You felt
so she believes. Erin, darling, unless your men are coming in for a hug as though I were your brother, I would worry about your brother's livelihood in the next hour.
She puts her hand up. Stops them. The men stop.
Good. His chances are improving.
Nice.
Your guards that are ensuring he's comfortable, they're not just on your payroll.
Do you think I'm going to fall for this?
If it was just me saying it, maybe not, but the Ironborn says his regards.
Now you're telling ghost stories. Who's guarding you? Who's guarding my brother?
I list off the first name on the list.
And as you start reeling off these names, you see her expression change. I'm going to need a roll.
Sure. Consort, definitely not. This has got to be a sway. I am trying to sway her change.
Yeah, with sway, there's a couple things here. We're desperate coming off of the consequence with Ulf, so we can't upgrade that. But I'm going to take you from limited to standard effect.
Okay.
Because of the information you did get from him, right? So we're still desperate, but instead of having a limited effect, she is going to believe you, and she's going to believe that you, in fact, could cause her brother to be harmed.
Okay. Um,
I would like to potentially help assist
Thank
on
you.
this one. Yeah.
Because I got
And-
1 dot and I have not many stress left.
I had some idea, maybe but I will just put it out there. I was thinking like you were telling the list of the people that are guarding her, and I would produce a paper that I would hand out to one of the guards to give to her, so she could see on herself that there is all these like names and all the relevant information, that it is real, it is ink on a paper, and that's something that would put more, let's say, importance on this happening.
So I'm imagining, Vaslav, and you tell me if you're okay with this, that it's not only the names of these guards, that's already been rattled off by Lamplight,
Yeah,
but it's how much they're getting paid a week
Hmm.
by her, by Aaron, where they live, and for each one of them, a few names of people that are important to each of these guards. So if she's had any doubt, it is obvious that you know exactly who these people are, know exactly that they've been on her payroll, and now have shown, that in fact, there's a line where she's been paying them, and then you added a line of how much Ulf's been paying them. Okay. Are you okay with that?
yeah,
All right, how do
exactly.
you wanna
It was to be the addition to the names. Yeah.
Love it. All right. So let's go ahead and take the 1 stress for Talus for the assist. What do you want to do with this assist, Roman?
I'm adding another die. I am not just rolling 1 die if I don't have to.
All right. So we're going to be a desperate standard effect with 2 dice. This is a huge roll. This is really, I think, going to determine whether
Yep.
we.
Tell me your devil's bargain. I am here for the cookies.
Oh, you want to?
Yes.
Ooh.
All right. The first part of the devil's bargain is you're not going to know it until next session. We're going to credits. We'll be right back.
Aha.
Boy, I miss playing with you guys.
Likewise.
Oh, this is fun. So incidentally, we obviously, you could tell, though the beginning of the session was not scripted, what I did is I threw out some ideas of how to kind of get us restarted into season 2. And I want to compliment the 4 of you. I thought you guys handled that all well. Just given a framework, right? I think the actual RP that you guys did at the very beginning was excellent. 2, I am rustier at blades than I realized. So for Garthner, thank you in the chat for the reminder on that, and helping me through. One of the things that I might have to like start leaving my notes down is I remember there's like an assist allows you to do one of 2 things, right? And whereas pushing only allows you to do, I've got to because that's very deliberate in John's design. I've got to get better about, saying what does a group action allow you to do? What is that? So I promise to get a little bit more boned up on that as we go. We're going to keep it short because I know it's getting late for both Joe and Vaslav. And I've got my beautiful daughter here who's anxious to spend time with her father. But real quick, why was it so easy for you, Joe, to take that devil's bargain?
Oh, because consequences fucking rule. And yeah, you are totally right. Reagan was using ghosts as a resource again. This will now kind of be like the second time this has really happened. So with her entire drive being not doing that and having people around that she cares about really complicate that. Like, you all are to blame for this. Yeah, it was just easy to have a mechanical thing to be like, this is the actions you have taken. Here is the specific consequence. And losing her best friend is the biggest consequence that could possibly come from this.
And I think, especially as far as play is concerned, this was the biggest threat to her life that we've seen in play, right? So for her to do something that was saving her life, but counter to some of her basic beliefs and things like that, totally fit for me as well. I feel like Nick, you didn't get a chance to play a lot, and I want to check in that was something that you were okay with, because that's going to happen some sessions.
Right.
or are there things that we can do as a table that would have opened things up more for you?
You know, coming off of here in Texas, we got cedar fever. Allergies are kicking everybody in the butt right now. I was okay taking a little bit of a back seat today.
Sure.
But it also helped me really try to explore uh, more of my character background and connections in the city to be more useful in certain areas. So being able to look at it differently and really think through a lot of the process and seeing a lot of what these experienced role players are doing here um, is helping me kind of refocus my character and how I can provide, other than being this um, original character concept I had when I was first starting role playing. To now, I'm ready to really dive in much further with Elias. So it was all good.
The only thing I'm going to throw in there is that we tore up your noob card a while ago. You don't get to be claimed to be a noob at role playing anymore, Nick. You lost. You
Right.
lost that. You are
No, for
well
sure.
into it, and we proved that, I think, with the amazing job that you're doing in our 1-to-1 Call of Cthulhu. So
Oh, so good.
nice
So
try.
good. Thank you.
Vaslav, I am still coming off the glow of our mothership run. And still will be, I would imagine, for a long time, one of my greatest tables experiences I've had. We had 14 sessions, I think, total. We saw entire arcs for all kinds of characters. I felt that we had a phenomenal ending. After an experience like that, what are you hoping to take from that into this Blades game? So do you think that the mothership run did anything for you as a role player? Or were you a different role player that's here now than a year ago?
Such an easy question that I'm pleasure to answer. So, of course, it did. It did change the approach because the thing I care very little now about is like the fiddling with the character and the stuff behind it. We played Blades before Mothership, so I think that Blades has a nice level of complexity and
Mhm.
just roll with the RP and I don't care. And Mothership was more like I don't give an F like about management of all these things. There is a stress, you have hit points, and with the rest you can just wing it. And by not caring as much about this, I think I improved more, or at least I enjoy it more not caring about these things as a player, but also as a GM. As when I'm GMing locally, I don't give an F about handling all these details. I saw it could work very nicely in Mothership. It could work as well in Edge of the Empire campaign. You can get real fiddly in that game, but you can still really not care about things in that game. So this is what I'm taking from the experiences here after that year you described. So this is my takeaway, how I enjoy more games by not caring about these
Yeah.
things.
And the only thing I'll add to that, Vessel, because I agree with you. I have gotten less lost in the mechanics as the more I play, and I refuse to let them get in the way, right? And I am far more comfortable now saying we're going to make a call, we're going to keep playing, we'll go look it up later, right? If we screwed up, we screwed up, but let's make a call as a table and let's keep going. Let's not get lost in the fiddliness of it. But the one thing I will call out though is that's just one way to play these games. And obviously you and I are simpatico on that. But I also appreciate, the Shadowrun players out there that love the crunch, right? That they love the mechanics of things, and they love, I'm going to move 5 feet this direction. I'm going to take my second action to do this and stuff. And there's joy in that too. It's not how I like to play role-playing games. I go to war games for that and miniature games for that type of crunch. But yeah, no, I completely agree. I need a quick prediction, Roman. Are you going to be successful?
Don't put that evil on me. I'm gonna do everything I can between now and then to channel the nonsense of our first session of how many desperate rolls we made and like hit or crit on, and I'm gonna hope that we're successful. But I'm also going to be thinking of, if that doesn't roll the way I need it to, what am I going to do?
So the reason I called episode 7 Pushback is because I think in the first 6 sessions we kind of did our thing and the world existed, but there weren't consequences. And I think this is the first time we're starting to see that the Umbral Marines, as they moved up in tier, as they have become more of a force in Duskvol, we're going to start to see Duskvol push back. All right, guys. Keep your eyes on the schedule, like, subscribe, blah, 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 follow on the socials. You'll see all the schedules and everything. Love you guys, and we'll be playing soon. Take care, all.
Now wait.
See
See
ya.
you all in another year.
Howdy, friends. Thank you for watching. All our content is archived and organized in playlists on the Third Floor Wars YouTube channel. Check it out. And if you could like, follow, subscribe, and even set your notifications to this channel on YouTube and Twitch, we'd appreciate it, and it'll make sure that you catch all of our content. I talk with creators, designers, and experts across the gaming landscape in every episode of our podcast, Tabletop Talk. Open up your favorite podcatcher and search for Tabletop Talk from Third Floor Wars. Support your creators. They make the content you love, and it's your support that makes it happen. If you want to help us, go to Third Floor Wars on patreon.com, and you can help us for as little as $1 a month. Thanks again. We'll see you next time. Take care.